Luigi Mangione, a 27-year-old Ivy League graduate now sitting in a federal cell, facing murder charges, stalking charges, and the possibility of execution. Prosecutors say he planned it, say he targeted his victim, and they want the ultimate punishment. 3 separate prosecutions are hunting him simultaneously. Right now, he's locked inside one of America's most notorious federal facilities, a place where federal judges have used words like deeply troubling and inhumane to describe conditions behind those walls. But something strange is unfolding inside. Inmates gave him a nickname. They call him the Ambassador. Over $800,000 flooded in from strangers who've never met him. Photos leaked showing him smiling, posing with other prisoners like he's become part of the social fabric. How does someone staring down execution become a prison legend? What are prosecutors doing that his lawyers say violates standard legal practice? And why are former inmates warning that his current existence might actually be harder to survive than death row itself? The reality behind those walls is darker and stranger than anything you've seen in the headlines. December 4th, 2024, a Manhattan street during morning rush hour. Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, was fatally shot in the middle of the sidewalk. 5 days later, at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, Luigi Mangione was arrested and handcuffed, his old life erased in seconds. But here's what most people don't know. The walls holding him now are the same walls federal judges have called a humanitarian crisis, the same facility that's housed some of the most dangerous people in America. And what happens inside is something the system doesn't want you to fully see. Before we go further, you need to understand something critical about the facility holding Luigi. A federal judge once said he'd rather dismiss charges completely than send someone there. Detainees have suffered in conditions that sparked federal investigations. And what happened to Luigi in his first 48 hours will reveal exactly why his lawyers are fighting so hard. Take yourself back to the beginning. After his arrest, Luigi was first held at the State Correctional Institution in Huntingdon, Pennsylvania, a maximum security facility that became his temporary cage for nearly 2 weeks in December 2024. Inside SCI Huntingdon, they placed Luigi in D block, not just any cell block. This was where death row inmates once waited for their execution. Think about that for a second. Before he's even convicted of anything, they're already treating him like a condemned man. Every single time Luigi needed to move from his cell, the entire D block went into lockdown. Complete freeze. No other prisoner could move. The entire block stopped because of him. And here's what reveals the gravity of the situation. Luigi wasn't allowed to wear the standard orange jumpsuit. Instead, they dressed him in what's called a safety smock, a thick, padded, tear-resistant outfit built for one purpose: to prevent self-harm. The authorities were concerned enough about his mental state to place him in clothing designed specifically for suicide prevention. Then something happened that shocked prison officials. Something that broke protocol and caught the attention of news cameras nationwide. When you hear what the inmates did for Luigi, you'll understand why this case is unlike anything we've seen before. Picture this. News crews gathered outside the prison walls with cameras pointed at the facility. And then something remarkable started happening. The inmates inside were watching the coverage on their cell TVs. When they saw News Nation reporter Alex Capariello standing outside their prison, they started shouting from their windows. Voices echoing off concrete walls, "Free Luigi!" They screamed about terrible conditions. They yelled that he was being treated unfairly. But it gets wilder. The prisoners started flashing their cell lights on and off, creating a visual Morse code through the darkness. Reporter Ashley Banfield actually interviewed the inmates live on air from her studio. She'd ask questions and the prisoners would respond by shouting or blinking their lights in rhythm. "Is the food good?" A chorus of angry voices screamed back that it was garbage. When asked about conditions, they made it crystal clear. Things inside were not right. One inmate who was there later said it was the loudest that prison had been since the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018. Prison officials were furious. The deputy superintendent delivered warnings. Participate again, and you'll be thrown in solitary confinement. Freedom of speech behind bars got crushed immediately. 2 weeks later, everything changed. They came for Luigi before dawn, and what followed wasn't a simple prison transfer. It was pure theater. A spectacle broadcast to millions. The mayor showed up personally. Dozens of armed officers formed a perimeter. and waiting at his destination was a place that would test everything he had left. December 19, 2024. Luigi Mangione arrived in New York City, but this wasn't quiet, this was a production. Authorities orchestrated what Luigi's lawyers would later describe as something out of a superhero movie. Heavily armed officers everywhere. Mayor Eric Adams standing there personally. Every camera in New York City captured each second as they walked Luigi like a trophy. His lawyers argue this perp walk violated his constitutional rights, that it was designed to poison the jury pool and brand him guilty before any trial, to create an image so powerful, so theatrical, that no one could ever forget it. During this spectacle, Mayor Adams held court with reporters. He called it terrorism. He talked about violence that wouldn't be tolerated in his city. But here's what he never mentioned: presumption of innocence, due process, the right to a fair trial. From that moment forward, Luigi entered the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, and his real test began. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn's Sunset Park, a federal facility housing roughly 1,100 detainees at any given time. Its reputation precedes it. Federal judges have described conditions here as deeply troubling. One judge went so far as to say he'd rather dismiss charges entirely than send someone to this facility. Winter 2019, a crisis that made national headlines. Inmates were left without heat or electricity for weeks during one of the coldest stretches of the year, trapped in freezing cells. The Bureau of Prisons eventually settled the resulting lawsuit for $10 million. Earlier this year, 9 people at MDC were charged with orchestrating violence from inside the facility, 5 separate murder attempts. In one documented incident, 2 men attacked their target and went to an area where he accessed prohibited items and returned to attack again. The assault lasted over 15 minutes. Here's the part that stunned investigators. Staff members were present, but the fight continued uninterrupted. Questions about supervision protocols remain unanswered. This is the facility where Luigi Mangione now lives, where he wakes up every morning, where he'll remain until his trials conclude. Now here's what matters. Inside MDC Brooklyn, there are 2 distinct worlds. One side houses high-profile detainees in relative control. The other side, former inmates describe it as chaotic, violent, and dangerous. So which side is Luigi on? The answer will surprise you, and what he discovered about his daily reality will keep you watching. Luigi has his own cell. Former inmates say he's on what they call the controlled side of the prison. But don't let that fool you for a second. Former inmate Gene Borello spent time at MDC and describes it like this. On Luigi's side, it's like a big dormitory with bunks lined up, lockers, maybe 20 people maximum. Sounds almost manageable until you hear the rest. You don't see the sun. Not once. There's a small recreation room with artificial light buzzing overhead, but no outdoor time, no natural light, no sky. Just fluorescent tubes humming 24 hours a day. The other side of MDC Brooklyn? Borello calls it brutal, regular violent incidents, guards looking the other way, cell phones smuggled in, complete breakdown of order. Luigi's on the safer side because of his high-profile case. They had to separate him. If they threw him into general population on that other side, his safety would be at serious risk. According to prison officials, Luigi took every meal in his cell during those early days. No interaction, no human connection. His world became 4 walls measuring 15 feet by 6 feet. Concrete bed, a sink, a toilet, and a small desk. That's it, and that's everything. Months passed, and something unexpected began happening. Luigi wasn't breaking down under the pressure. Instead, he was adapting in ways prisoners rarely do. Inmates started following him. Even guards began treating him differently. Photos leaked showing him smiling with other detainees. How does someone facing potential execution become respected inside? What you're about to learn reveals the strange reality of life behind those walls. Fast forward several months. Reports started emerging that Luigi Mangione had earned a title among fellow inmates. They started calling him the Ambassador. Attorney Arthur Adala, who's represented major clients, says Luigi is now considered a model detainee. He helps new inmates adjust. Both prisoners and staff reportedly respect him. No disciplinary write-ups, no incidents, nothing. Luigi even took a job as an orderly, cleaning common areas and scrubbing bathrooms. It's one of the only jobs available in a maximum security detention center, but it gives him structure, purpose, something to hold on to when everything else feels like it's slipping away. Photos surfaced showing Luigi in the prison yard wearing gray and white sweatpants, white socks, and loafers with a watch on his wrist. He's posing with other inmates, throwing up a casual hand sign, smiling. For someone facing potential execution, he looks surprisingly composed, almost peaceful. Supporters have donated over $800,000 to his legal defense fund. Some even perform dances outside the jail in support. Fellow inmates call him their brother. In the strangest twist imaginable, Luigi Mangione became a folk hero, both behind bars and beyond. But underneath this apparent calm lies a legal storm that's unprecedented in its complexity. Luigi faces 3 separate prosecutions: federal charges, New York state charges, and Pennsylvania state charges. His lawyers describe this as unconstitutional, arguing it violates protection against double jeopardy. Same evidence, same incident, but 3 different governments prosecuting him at the exact same time. The federal charges are the deadliest: murder through use of a firearm, persistent following behavior, and possession of restricted items. And the federal charge makes him eligible for the death penalty. Then came the moment that would shift everything, an unprecedented move that legal experts say violated decades of protocol. The government broke standard procedure and announced their decision before following proper legal steps. And the person who made this announcement, you definitely know her name. When you hear what happened on national television, you'll understand why Luigi's lawyers are calling this a political prosecution. April 1st, 2025, the U.S. Attorney General stepped in front of cameras and made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the legal community. She directed federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty in Luigi Mangione's case, but here's what made legal experts raise their eyebrows. The announcement came weeks before Luigi was even formally indicted by a federal grand jury. Think about that timing for a moment. The government publicly declared its intention to pursue execution before the grand jury had officially charged him. Luigi's defense team responded immediately, filing motions arguing that the premature announcement created what they called prejudicial pressure, a public narrative of guilt before any trial evidence was presented. According to them, when high-profile officials make such statements early, it becomes nearly impossible to find jurors who haven't already formed an opinion. The controversy deepened when the Attorney General appeared in national media interviews, with some legal analysts suggesting such visibility before trial was unprecedented. Defense attorneys argue this created what they describe as trial by press conference, where the verdict seems decided in public long before a jury ever hears a single witness. Whether you agree with their argument or not, one thing became clear: this case was being fought as much in the court of public opinion as in any courtroom. September 2025. The courtroom was packed. Luigi stood before a judge, and what happened next gave him the first victory he'd seen in months. But don't celebrate yet. While one charge got dismissed, 2 other prosecutions are still coming for him with everything they've got. And the punishment he's facing might actually be worse than facing a single death penalty case. Stay with me because the next part reveals the true scope of his legal nightmare. September 16th, 2025. Judge Gregory Caro made a significant ruling. He dismissed the terrorism-enhanced murder charges in Luigi's state case, ruling that prosecutors didn't present enough evidence to the grand jury for those specific charges. This included the most severe charge, first-degree murder in furtherance of terrorism. However, Luigi still faces second-degree intentional murder in state court. This charge carries a potential sentence of 15 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Unlike the federal system, New York doesn't have the death penalty. So Luigi's still fighting on 3 fronts: a federal case with execution on the table, a state case with life imprisonment possible, and a Pennsylvania case for forgery and false identification. His next federal court date? December 1st, 2025. The state case continues separately. The Pennsylvania case demands his appearance too. His lawyers are fighting battles on 3 different battlefields simultaneously. Throughout all of this legal warfare, Luigi remains at MDC Brooklyn, and conditions haven't improved one bit. March 2025. The prison suspended all general visits, calling it modified operations. The facility told the media this would continue until they finished investigating an unspecified incident. During these lockdowns, inmates still get 3 meals a day, water, medical services, and showers on a rotating basis. But the isolation gets heavier. The walls press in closer. The mental strain grows more intense. Reports indicate the prison still struggles with contraband. Despite intensive federal searches, weapons and substances still make their way inside somehow. The violence continues. The tension never stops. Right now, Luigi is still locked inside MDC Brooklyn. Every morning he wakes up in that cell. Every night he goes to sleep not knowing if the government will succeed in executing him. But here's the part that will leave you thinking. His case has become bigger than him, bigger than the alleged crime. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Luigi Mangione became a symbol. His case reopened national debates about healthcare costs, corporate accountability, and inequality in America. Opinion polls show mixed views. Older Americans tend to view him negatively, but younger, more progressive people see him differently. The hashtag #FreeLuigi has been shared over 50,000 times. Street art appeared supporting him across the country, a billboard in California, a mural in Seattle. His burgundy sweater from a court appearance sold out completely online at Nordstrom within hours. But symbols don't survive in prison, and the reality of his situation is brutal. Luigi faces possible execution if convicted on federal charges. Even if they take death off the table, he's facing life imprisonment. At 27 years old, that means spending the rest of his entire life in facilities like MDC Brooklyn. Prison consultant Sam Mangle describes maximum security housing units as miserable, just miserable. He notes these areas are notoriously loud and chaotic, presenting massive mental challenges for anyone confined there. If Luigi eventually gets sentenced to a maximum security penitentiary, former inmates warn it'll be extremely difficult. Places like Clinton, Elmira, or Sing Sing in New York, with no protective custody, constant lockdowns, gang violence, and riots. Gene Borello says Luigi has no idea what he's about to experience if they send him to one of these facilities. Inmates might only be out of their cells 3 or 4 months out of the entire year. Inside MDC Brooklyn, Luigi Mangione waits. He reads thousands of pages of legal discovery, works his orderly job scrubbing floors, and talks with fellow inmates who call him the ambassador. But this isn't living, it exists in the space between freedom and death. Cold concrete walls, fluorescent lights that never shut off, constant noise echoing through steel corridors. The threat of violence present in every interaction. The crushing mental weight of facing 3 separate prosecutions, with execution on the table in one of them. Whether you see Luigi as guilty or innocent, as villain or symbol of rage against a broken system, one truth is undeniable. His punishment began long before any conviction. Federal judges have called these conditions deeply troubling for documented reasons. His next court appearance approaches. His lawyers continue fighting on multiple fronts, battles that will stretch on for months, possibly years. And through it all, he remains behind those walls in that cell, in that facility. This is Luigi Mangione's untold story, the reality that exists beyond the headlines, the hashtags, and the political theater. Whatever happens in those courtrooms will seal his fate. But the punishment is already underway. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead. The steel door stays locked, and Luigi Mangione waits for a future he cannot control.